Hey everyone. In this video I want to talk about how both men and women tend to have unrealistic expectations for each other nowadays. This is a problem that has been brought on by entertainment media and culture and just dating apps and a lot of advice out there on the internet where people are just being spoon-fed all this stuff that isn't really realistic. For instance, in entertainment media, quite often you'll find these perfect examples for relationships where the man is like a model level of attractive, so is the woman, and they just never argue. They have the most perfect little relationship together. They never have any troubles whatsoever, and everything is just fine and dandy. And then in online, there's a lot of advice out there telling people to never settle, or if they can't handle you at your worst, they don't deserve you at your best. And it's like, that's all BS. It's not realistic, especially the whole if they can't handle you at your worst, they don't deserve you at your best. Like, come on, you need to work on yourself. Do not present your worst to someone, especially if they're actually a good, high quality partner for you. They don't need to tolerate you at your worst because you should be fixing yourself so that you can present something better to them. I mean, you don't want to stay down at that low level and think that somebody has to put up with it and tolerate you. That's just unrealistic. So anyway, that's just one example of common crap that people are told nowadays that just doesn't work. So I want to jump into some of the more common unrealistic expectations that people have, and I'll start with men, although the women's side of things will be a bit more fun, and you'll see why. But men can even have unrealistic expectations for their relationships as well. Quite often, men want a housewife. They want a woman who will actually stay home and raise the kids, because why wouldn't they? That's how you raise healthy children. If you leave them at home and you have some stranger watch over them or that sort of thing, it can affect the child's development because they really do need at least one parent around them pretty often to help their development. I mean, you can look into studies. This is a huge thing, and one of the main reasons why children are being raised so poorly nowadays is because both parents are working now. That's considered the norm, when before you used to have at least somebody home to watch the kids and help raise them and educate them and that sort of thing. Or you'll even have situations where one of the parents are absent, and that creates so many problems on its own right there. But anyway, men want a woman who will be a housewife, but they also want a woman who will be intelligent and fun and a bunch of other things that don't quite go together. Now, I'm not saying that all women who are housewives aren't intelligent, not at all. What I'm saying is that intelligent women tend to be ambitious. And an ambitious woman isn't going to really want to be a housewife. And that's understandable. She's going to want to do things. So right then and there, those two values kind of clash. They don't really mesh all that well. Now, obviously, they can exist together, of course. I'm not saying that. Just in general, they're two things that don't quite go together all that well. Do you see what I'm getting at? So that right there is kind of an example of how we can have these expectations that don't really hold up in the real world. Now, of course, sometimes they do exist. It's just they're going to be really rare. And when they're that rare, they're pretty much unrealistic because your odds of finding someone who will hit all those things is really low. So let's jump into the women's side of things, which is going to be a bit more interesting. All the guys out there who are into like the red pill community, you have an idea of why I say that, because yeah, women have unfortunately been told a lot of BS over the past few decades. They've pretty much been lied to, point blank. Like, really, they've been lied to about what men can offer and so many other things. And it's really unfortunate because women tend to be the ones who have more unrealistic expectations. For instance, they'll want a guy who is attractive, who is wealthy, who is smart and funny and all these things. And while there are men out there who will hit all those qualities, they are so far and few between. And the main problem here is that those men, because of how rare they are, they're going to be so attracted to so many different women that quite often a woman's odds of landing a guy like that are incredibly low unless she's like supermodel level attractive herself. And here's the interesting thing. Men who have that much value, who are that high quality, they usually are going to place a huge emphasis on looks because they're not going to want a woman who's ambitious, because why do they care about that? If they're wealthy, they're the one making all the money. They're not going to care at all if a woman is bringing in money herself. And there's also the issue where quite often in relationships, when a woman does have money, she's not going to let the man touch it. So he's just not going to be paying attention for ambitious women. He's not going to care about that. So he's probably going to place looks as his main priority. And I know that that can sound shallow and whatnot, but it's just the nature of men. They're attracted to beauty. But of course, there's going to be more than just looks. He's going to want a woman who who doesn't create a lot of drama, a woman who is more chill, grounded, who creates a lot of peace in his life. He doesn't want to come home to a woman who's going to nag him or start arguments or complain about a bunch of things. That's just not what he wants. If he's truly a wealthy guy making a lot of money, he's dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety from his job alone. So he's not going to want to come home to drama. That's not, I mean, well, men in general do not like drama because we're more logical. We just don't like dealing with that because we don't really think in a way where we create drama and enjoy it ourselves for the most part. There are some guys out there who are outliers who like that crap, but they're low quality. So my point here is that even for women, their expectations are really high for the kind of man they want. And like I said, those men are super rare. So the regular, like the average woman's odds of landing one of those guys is almost non-existent. If she is average, she's probably not going to be able to get a guy like that. And yet, everywhere out there, there's all this BS in the media and on social media pages and whatnot where they tell women that they can have these kinds of guys. And it's messed up. Now, the reason I'm singling out women here is because there isn't a whole lot of this for men. Men aren't often told that they can have a supermodel wife and that sort of thing. We're just not catered to in that way. Nobody's like shoots that crap at us. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're neglected. Who knows? We just don't get that kind of treatment out there. I mean, sure, there is like a manosphere. That's a term that's kind of new for like the community on YouTube and other places, social media, where you have these content creators who are male-centric, making a lot of really cool content for their fellow man. That exists, yeah, but it's kind of a really niche community. For the most part, out there in the media, men are kind of, in a way, put down quite often. I want to say shit on, but I mean, that's not, pardon my French, but you know, men are just kind of attacked for the most part. So we're not often told, oh, you can have the woman of your dreams, you can have a Victoria's Secret model, and yada, yada, yada. So men aren't raised believing that they can have this incredibly high level partner for themselves. That's just not something a lot of guys are raised to think that they're entitled to. But women are. I don't know if it's from Disney movies and the whole princess phenomena. I don't know what exactly has caused it, but it's unfortunate because that's just not realistic. I mean, it just isn't. I'm trying not to like be how do I put it, like a Debbie Downer here, but it's the truth. I mean, for real, those super high quality partners out there are so rare. So I don't want this video to be super negative, so I want to say, here's the thing. You need to work on your expectations, especially if you believe that you're entitled to the best of the best partners out there, especially if you don't work on yourself. First and foremost, work on yourself. Otherwise, you will never, ever stand a shot with these people. They won't even tolerate you if you haven't put in work into yourself. So definitely do that. But beyond that, just lower your expectations a bit, lower your standards. Now, you don't need to do it a whole lot, at least in the case of standards. For your expectations, definitely you should probably lower those quite a bit. But for your standards, you should probably lower them a bit just to what you're still willing to tolerate. You should still have healthy boundaries. But for the most part, you don't want your standards to be so high or even unrealistic that you're going to be single for a long period of time. Unless you're okay with that, because that will be something you'll have to deal with. I mean, heck, in my own life, I know that I have high standards, and it has led to me being single for a long period of time. I literally won't enter into a relationship with a woman if I don't believe that she's worked on herself enough for me to even want to enter into a relationship with her. But I've accepted that. I'm okay with that. I don't mind being single. So you need to be in the same headspace if you're going to have high standards, because these people are rare. I mean, they truly are. I can't even tell you how many high quality women I've met in my own life. Like that, I could probably count it on two hands. Like there haven't been many. So for all the ladies out there, I'm sure you could count on two hands the amount of high quality men you've met as well. They're just so rare. So lower your expectations, lower your standards, and just work on yourself. And that way you'll increase your odds of landing someone who's high quality. Just remember, do not shoot for the moon, because you're likely not going to obtain it in this case. Talking about obtaining a partner, okay? In your career and whatnot, definitely shoot for the moon. But with partners, your odds of landing someone who's that great are just so incredibly low. So anyway, I hate to be like, I don't even know what to call myself in this situation. It's almost, I almost feel like somebody who's crushing people's dreams. I hope not. I hope that's not the case here. But it just, we all need a healthy dose of reality, that reality check at some point. And a lot of us have just been lied to about what we can expect from partners out there. So I wanted to make this video to kind of tell you that you shouldn't let your standards and expectations be so high that you're going to be single your whole life, because that can very well happen to a lot of people in today's world, just because they've been spoon-fed all this BS about what they're entitled to in the relationship world. So anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!